Hey everybody, Tom here, and today I'm going to teach you how I store and how to set up a game of Dune Imperium. So in this video, I'm going to be showing you, I actually have a storage solution that I've created. If you're interested in seeing or downloading the things that I'm about to show you, you can go visit my website at tomteachesgames.com, and there you'll be able to download the PDFs and see videos on how to make everything and all of that stuff. But I'm also going to be, as I said, showing you how to set up a two-player game. So let's go ahead and take off the lid here. And we have a rulebook here. And I feel like this rulebook was pretty good. They do this, it's a weird visual thing. They have all of these letters to show you like how to diagram stuff. For some reason that was a little irksome for me to look through. But their explanations are really clear and well thought out. The rulebook is laid out nicely. I remember I did have one kind of quibble about it, but I don't remember what that is at this point. But yeah, it was pretty clear. It's a really big, like, area, like, that's a big rule book, but it's not too thick. Anyway, good rule book. And then along with the rule book, you're going to have two different things. One of them is a board space guide, which is going to explain the spaces on the board. But then you also are going to have a page that explains solo mode and two-player. And so that's useful. I don't understand why this wasn't just in the rule book, but okay. First thing we've got here at the top is we are going to have a board. And so let's go ahead and open up that board. It's a single-sided board, so you just open it up and lay it out. We'll put that right there in the middle. Okay. And then what we're going to do is get into my storage solution here. Here, I'll turn it this way. All right, so the way that I'm storing this game is like this. This isn't quite in the middle, so these compartments are a little bit longer than these ones. But basically, we have all of our different leaders that you could choose to be. We're going to go ahead and pick a leader here in just a minute for our two players. But what I wanted to show you is I use this Plano box. There are 3 resources in the game and 2 different sizes for 2 of them. So I just use this 5-compartment Plano box. I get it at Walmart. I keep these on hand. They're like $2. And so I always have these on hand right there. It's the perfect size for what we needed, almost. It was just a tiny, tiny bit too big to fit into this compartment. So you can kind of see that what I did is I took out this little insert and I just cut right here with a box cutter and folded these things upwards. And then when you put this back in here, oops, that just gives you somewhere to put your components. Now I considered just cutting these off, but I hate doing anything permanent. So if I decided I hate this idea, I could just fold those back down. But that's essentially what I've done for the resources. So we're going to go ahead and take the resources out. I'll put them right there. We have basically 6 small boxes, 1 box for each player. I'm going to be playing a blue character and a red character, so we'll go ahead and take these out now. I won't need these necessarily, though I am setting up a 2-player game, so I'm going to need a 3rd one. Let's use yellow for that. So I'm actually going to pull these out for our 3rd character, which is going to be run by the AI. And then we have a box here of general components, so I'm going to take that out. We're going to need that. There are small cards in the game, so as I mentioned, all of these boxes that you're seeing, these are my creations that you can go download and make. So I'm going to go ahead, this is going to hold our intrigue cards and our conflict cards, so let's take that out. And then the other thing we're going to need is this is a big box of cards because there are normal size cards, but there's a lot of them in this game, and I thought this was the best way to hold stuff. So we're going to take this out for a second, and I can move the box out of the way. So let's go ahead and get the main board set up here. So there's a few things that we've got to do. First thing is, the way that I have this set up is I have this box of cards and a bunch of dividers. So I know that each player is going to need a starting deck. Okay, so I'm going to take one out and hand it to the blue player. And the way I've designed these dividers is I've tried to make them useful. On one side, it lists what the starting deck is. And on the other side, it's a smaller version of this player aid. I just scanned it and made it small. So if you don't have a lot of table space, maybe you want to use this divider as your aid. Or if you've got plenty of table space, you could probably use this. Okay, but anyway, I just have this divider here to be useful. I haven't decided if I'm using that in my gameplay video or not, but whatever. And then we're going to grab a second deck of starting cards right there. And again, the starting cards, they're listed in the rule book, and I have them just listed right here. But the way you can distinguish the starting cards, because they're going to look a lot like these cards. So the general cards, they have the same back, and they both have a black top. The starting cards are going to have this icon right here. So you could see that icon throughout the entire starting deck. And any of these cards here in the Imperium deck, they do not have that icon. Obviously, we're going to need our deck of cards. This is basically going to be the cards that we play with. We'll give them a shuffle. I shuffled before I came on here. Well, I always shuffle before I clean up my games. So shuffle those cards. We'll put those in place in just a minute. And then here we have, I don't know how to, I've never seen the movie Dune. I've never read the book, so I don't know how to pronounce anything. House Hagel. This is a deck of cards that you need either for solo mode or 2 players. So I'm also going to need this because we're setting up a 2-player game here. Okay, so I'm going to take these out. Now, along with these cards with the black banner with no icon there, we're going to need some other types of cards here. And these are going to have a silver, sorry, this is a little awkward. They're going to have a silver banner or a gray banner there at the top. And these cards are all identical to one another. And you could see on this divider that I just have the image of what those cards look like. So we're going to need these, but we just got to keep them separated and from the other cards. So we have this fold space card. Take these out. And we have the spice must flow. We'll take these out and just keep them separate from the other things for now. Since we're dealing with the cards right now, let's just go ahead and get those set up for the most part. Different places you could do things, but here's the general idea. These cards with the black banner that are not the starting cards, after you shuffle them, you're going to put them somewhere and lay out 5 of them as kind of a market. And so let's see, I think kind of what I usually like to do is I like to put them about here and lay out 5 going this way. And then the other thing that I like to do is I kind of just like to take these ones and put them over on this side. There's no right or wrong way to put these, you just do it, but that's the way that I like to do this. Now with these cards here, again this is for the solo mode or the 2-player mode, first thing we need to do before we shuffle them is we need to take out cards that are not for the type of mode that we're playing. So we're not doing 1 player, so I'm going to take out any of these cards that say 1 player. You're going to see there are some cards that say 2-player. We're going to keep those. And I think, yeah, mine were all at the bottom because last time I played was solo. So once we've taken out the solo version of these cards, what we're going to do is just take the rest of them and shuffle them up. And we'll just put these somewhere. I'm going to put them, I think I'm going to put these, I don't know. We'll put them here for now. It doesn't really matter. Okay, let's put these here. Next up, let's go ahead and get the intrigue cards shuffled. So, as I said, here's a box here. Now, this design is the same type of design for these boxes. And let me show you. These boxes have a wall just to hold all of these pieces here. What I did on this box is I just cut a V right here just to make it really easy to get those cards out. So in this box, I've got intrigue cards. These are, you can see they're smaller than the normal card, and conflict cards. Let's set up the conflict cards in just a minute. But for these intrigue cards, all we're going to do is shuffle them, and we'll put them somewhere nearby. Probably, I like to keep them on this side of the board because there's a bunch of spots that use these intrigue cards. So let's put these right here. I might change things up when I get ready for my gameplay, but this seems like a good place for now. We'll have the draw pile and the discard pile, or who knows. Let's, while we're at it, since we're dealing with cards right now, let's go ahead and set up the conflict deck. And the way that this works, I really wish they had some kind of an icon here reminding you of this, because otherwise you either have to memorize it or look in the rule book. But there are 3 types of conflict cards, level 1, 2, and 3. And basically what you want to do is there are 4 level 3 conflict cards. So these are going to be used every game. You shuffle these up and they're going to go on the bottom of your pile. For the level 2 cards, you're going to be using 5 of them. And so you're going to shuffle these ones, and we're just going to take 5 of them, and they'll go on top of the level 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we won't use the rest in the game, so I'll just put them back in the box. And for the level 1 cards, you're going to use 1 of them. So, I mean, for what it's worth, I know, just because I've played the game, that there are 10 rounds, and so there's 1 card per round. So if you can remember, okay, you use all of the level 3, that's 4 cards, and you use 1 of the level 1s, that's 1 card, there would have to be 5 level 2 to make up for that. I don't know if that's useful or not, but anyway, okay, so 1 of these level 2s, we'll put that on the top, just like that, and get rid of the other cards. And this is our conflict deck. It is going to be kind of our round timer, and it's going to help us with conflict. Shocking. Next, let's go ahead and get these general components set up. Again, you can see here I have a list of what components there are, and the only reason we would use these tokens is if somebody chooses this character, which I will not choose. This is one of the more complicated characters. We're going to keep it simple for our first game here. But basically, you're going to see some of these round tokens like this. To me, this looks like molecular. I don't think that's a molecule. I think that's planets and moons. But basically, you're going to have 4 tokens with that. And what you want to do is take a look at these icons, and they're going to match up with icons that you see on the board. And so this token here is going to go, not here, sorry, on this round space like that. The purple one here, the gray one here, and the infinity red one will go right there. We have a first player token. I'm going to hand this to the blue player. I always have them start off as our first player. And then here are those tokens that I mentioned that we won't be using because we're not going to use that character, I don't think. And then, I don't know how to pronounce this. This is like the mentat or something. It's going to go right here on this green space like that. Oh, we'll turn it the correct way. Okay, so we have those pieces there. And at this point, I think we're ready to set up the player areas. The general area is all ready to go. And so we're going to set this up. Now, if you've seen my videos before, you'll know that I really like to use colored paper because since I'm the only one playing and the camera moves around a lot, it's easy to lose track of which color and player we're focusing on. So let's just go ahead and lay down this board. And then what we're going to do is we're going to pick a leader. Now, as I mentioned, because if you're watching this video, maybe you're learning the game for the first time, we're going to start off with some basic leaders. So as you look at these, the number of hexagons shows you the complexity of the leader that you're working with. So we're going to just stick with the basic leaders here. I think there's 4 or 5. No, there's 4 basic leaders. These ones are more complicated. I don't want to worry about that. I haven't decided if I'm going for the color of the person. No. Well, okay. I'm going to make this person our red person because look at how red the background is. So let me just toss that over that way. And for the other ones, let's go ahead and shuffle them up. And we're going to pick this one. Okay, cool. I haven't played with this guy yet, so that'll be interesting. All right, so this is going to be our character. And what we need to do is we have all of these different components here. I'm just going to, you can either dump them out or you can keep them or whatever. The box is supposed to be so you could, oh my heck, you can play with the box if you want, whatever. All right, so you're going to have a bunch of these flag tokens. These are just going to stay nearby somewhere. You're going to have 2 of these workers that you want to keep them nearby, probably on your player board. We're going to have another worker that we're going to send to the board here for a part of setup. We're also going to take this combat token. That's going to go to the board as a part of setup. And then we need to send this cylinder over. We're going to keep one of the cylinders here. And then I think it was 4 cubes that we need to take over to the board as well. So these are all things that I'm going to take over to the board. Everything else is going to just hang out here. Oh, do you know what? It's actually, we're going to need to send 7. 7 cubes are going to go onto the board. Keep the rest of them here. You should have 9 left over. All right. So we'll send these to the board in just a quick second. Let me get rid of that. And of our 10 cards that are here, remember the starting cards with these icons, we're going to go ahead and shuffle them up. And we're going to draw a starting hand of 5 cards. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to set our deck right here, and we'll have our hand of cards nearby. Maybe I'll shove these over to that corner. Okay, so this area is more or less ready, but what we need to do is let's go put these things on the board. Let me show you where they go. Okay, first off, find your combat token. It'll have a sword side and a +20 side. This will just go sword side down right here. You're going to take 3 of your cubes and place them in one of these circles. This is going to be called your garrison, and just whichever one's closest to you, it really doesn't matter. Then we're going to take our cylinder. That's going to be, I think that is called a cylinder, right? That sounds so stupid. This is going to be our point tracker, and we're going to all start with 0 points. If this was a 4-player game, we would all start with 1. Okay, well that's going to go there for now. We're going to take our extra worker, and you could do different things with this. Some people, if you know the game well enough, you might just put them on this space over here, just stack them up with the sword master. That might get a little bit tricky and confusing during the cleanup phases for each round, so maybe you just want to keep it off the board but nearby, maybe over there, since I'm opening up my resources. Sure, something like that. And then, last thing we're going to do with these pieces is we're going to take each cube, and over here, these are called influence tracks. We're going to put these cubes on the bottom of each of these influence tracks. Now, one thing I want to say kind of about the components is these seem really dark for these spaces. Like, I wish they had lightened up the artwork or the cubes or something. I do feel like they kind of get lost, which is, you know, kind of disappointing. But it is what it is. But at this point, the blue player is all set up. All right, so same idea for our red player. Let's use a red paper just to really emphasize that. Okay, we have our deck of cards. We could just shuffle these up. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are going to go here. And do you know what? While I'm thinking about it really quickly, because I know I'm going to forget as we get going on, this particular character is going to start the game with 1 spice and 1 money. I don't remember what the money's called. It's like Centauri or something like that. So let me grab those while I'm thinking about it. So we'll have resources in this area, probably, maybe over here actually. And also, every character is going to start with 1 water. So let's just take care of that before I forget. Oh, that's going to be hard to see. We'll figure it out. But otherwise, okay, so we're going to have our flags. Remember, we keep the flags. We keep 1 cylinder. We're going to keep 9 cubes. 2 workers go here. All right, so we've got 3, 6, 9. Everything else is going to go to the board. Let's start here. We've got 0 points. We have our combat token. We're going to have 3 soldiers in their garrison. We'll just put them right there. We've got our 1 extra worker that could come on the board later. And then we'll put 1 cube on each of these tracks here at the bottom. So of course, if this was a 3 or 4 player game, at this point we'd be done, but there's a little bit more that we need to do for the 2-player game. And what I want to point out is the 2-player game and the solo mode, they use the same deck of cards, and they do have some similarities, but there are also enough differences that it can get confusing. For example, in a 2-player game, we would not choose a leader, one of these large leader cards. We would not choose one of those for the 3rd player here that we're making. But in a solo game, you do choose 2 leaders. So that's one difference. Another difference is here. It's that we're basically using these components, but we use them a little bit differently between the 2-player mode and the solo mode. So for example, in this 2-player mode, we are going to keep all 3 agents here nearby. They're going to get used. And in the 2-player mode, it's not going to score any victory points at all. So we won't need any of these cylinders or anything. In the solo mode, they do, but not in the 2-player one. So we won't need those. We are going to need the cubes, and in fact, we're going to send cubes to the board in just a minute. And in a 2-player game, we are going to keep these flags around like this, okay? And we are going to use this combat thing. So basically, you're not going to keep score. These guys can't win. Their job is to just block spaces and to make our lives awful. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this to the board, and we're going to take only 4 cubes to the board. And again, in solo mode, this would be a little bit different. You would take 7 cubes for each of the, it's a whole thing. I might do a solo video. We'll see how this one goes. But basically, we're going to take the 4 cubes, and they are going to go on this track. Because, like I said, they are blocking things. They're going to be racing for stuff. They're generally here to spoil things, and racing up these tracks is a big part of the game. And especially, so is combat. And so they're actually going to have combat possible in this game. So we'll assign this to be their garrison spot, but in the 2-player mode, they don't start with anything here. In the solo mode, they might, but not in the 2-player mode. And there you have it. We are officially set up for a 2-player game of Dune Imperium, which is a worker placement and deck building and combat game that I am really excited about. I've been excited about this game ever since I heard of it. I pre-ordered it. I've pre-ordered the bonus, like it has an upgrade pack that will come out next year. I've pre-ordered that. I'm very excited about it. And so yes, I'm happy to teach you how to play this game. If you're interested in learning how to play this game, I'll have the link for my rules overview and my 2-player game in the description of this video. So go ahead and check that out if you'd like. And as I mentioned before, if you're interested in seeing the crafts for this game or any other game that I do, go visit my website at tomteachesgames.com. All right, thank you for watching this video. I'm going to start playing. I'm excited. I will talk to you later. Goodbye.